Now, I'm heading to the Swiss Alps to meet a winemaker who's doing things a little bit differently. Peter Schmidt set up Mythopia when the natural wine movement was taking off. Today, the consumption of natural wine is on the rise, with emerging names creeping onto wine lists in most of the world's best restaurants. There is no official definition as to what makes a natural wine, but it's all about low intervention, letting nature do the work without using any chemicals or additives. And I've heard Peter's vineyard is a pretty good example of this. Whew, that was quite the trek. I'm used to vineyards being a bit tidier. There's a lot going on. There's brambles, there's bushes, there's loads of wild plants. This isn't your typical vineyard, is it?
The thing is to have really living space for all nature.
So there's a method behind the wildness.
It's definitely a method. Yeah. We don't need any fertilizer, so it only comes from the greens that we are planted here.
Is this a beehive?
Yeah, not really a beehive. This is for wild bees, and we put these holes, and they put their eggs into the holes.
So not only are you making, natural wine, with bees on the decline, you're actually doing something for the planet as well. That's brilliant.
Yeah, we increase the biodiversity. So, in fact, this area here is one of the places with the highest biodiversity in the whole country.
I'm starting to see what you're talking about. This is definitely your patch.
Sure.
This isn't.
No.
It looks quite barren. There's no undergrowth. And you look this way, it's wildflowers, bees, butterflies. There's a lot going on this side.
I mean, this is the traditional way like wine growing was done here the last 50 years and more. And all our vineyards, they looked exactly like this. Very dense production. So we took out half of the vines to make space and to give light.
So Peter has clearly put a lot of effort into making his vines as wild as possible. Apparently his vineyards are home to 64 species of butterfly. But having never tried natural wine, I'm looking forward to tasting how it differs from the wine I'm used to. So Peter, what are we tasting?
The disobedience is white wine, but if you see, the color is more like golden. They call it like orange.
Yeah, it's a nice color, not one you'd expect when someone says white wine.
In the old days, the wine had 4 colors. It was red and white, and it was rosé and orange. It's because when we did this wine, we broke all rules. It's like doing all in the wrong way.
Yeah.
So in the end, it comes to this.
That's really nice. It's quite tangy, but really flavoursome, but very different to the white wines I'm used to. I've never had orange wine before. I've never heard of orange wine before. I didn't actually know that existed, so I'm learning something too.
You only can make this type of natural wines as a continuation of your work in the vineyard. You need this stable ecosystem where you do not interfere. Every bottle is made by billions of microorganisms. That's why we call it also a living wine. They're still inside.
Peter's clearly not one to shy away from a memorable name. Next up, his red wine, Illusion. It definitely tastes like red, and red is my favourite.
It's difficult to describe. It's just with adjectives that what happens inside your mouth. So a lot of young people are never drinking wine. They come to natural wine and say, "Oh, I like it." It's deep here. Yeah.
Speaking to Peter has made me realise that natural winemaking is as much a philosophy as it is a process. That part of the excitement within the movement is the unpredictability of nature that helps make each bottle different from the last. Something traditional winemakers have spent centuries trying to avoid. He's also made it clear that even the wildest of vineyards need taming, so he's agreed to let me have a go on his little red tractor.
From the outside it looks wild, but if you do not manage it, it's just all overgrown, and after 3 years there's nothing to harvest anymore.
So it's controlled wildness?
Yes.
It's my job to manoeuvre the roller backwards down the hill, flattening the grass that will then act as a natural fertiliser for the soil underneath. But I've never been that good at reversing. I'm sweating it. This is a lot harder to manoeuvre than I thought. I've done many things for the travel show, but driving a tractor backwards down the Swiss Alps definitely wasn't in the original job description. I think I nailed it, right? I think it's fair to say that a lot of us have got expectations of how wine should taste based on what we've been told. So it's quite refreshing and fascinating to see people like Peter refusing to conform. And it's easy to see that by using more natural methods, not only is he doing his bit for the environment, but he's shaking up the wine industry a little bit too.